moving on, would like to ask Alison Chisholm, our Golf New Brunswick course rating and handicap chair, to provide an update on the new World Handicap System, please.
Thank you, Judy. And what would a spring or fall meeting be without having me talking about handicap or course rating? So I will ask my trusty assistant, Luke. You have my slides? Maybe. Oh, ta-da. Cool. Okay. Well, we can. Well, the first slide's fine. You can move to the second one. So just, you know, kind of as a reminder that amid all of this COVID-19 craziness, the new World Handicap System went live in Canada on January the 8th of 2020. And just as a reminder, it was an amalgamation, about 8 years worth of work from the 6 handicapping authorities from across the world. And now we have one set of rules of golf and one set of rules of handicapping. So it was quite a feat, and it's quite impressive to see that it's launched with very few little bugs. You can go to the next slide, please. So kind of, you know, there's been so much information out on the system, and certainly more to come. But as a bit of a reminder, you know, the really guiding principles of the new system were to be inclusive and accessible. So there's a new minimum number of scores to obtain a handicap. It used to be 5 rounds of 18 holes, and now it is 54 holes. And that can be in any combination of 9 or 18 hole scores. The other inclusive principle was around the maximum handicap. So in the old system, it was the maximum handicap you could have was 36.4 for men and 40.4 for women. And so the new maximum is now 54.0, which really opens the game up to a lot of people. If you think about shooting, you know, 40 strokes over par, you know, there's a lot of people out there that have tough time shooting 112 or 108 for men. And so opening it up to the 54 max invites more people into the game sooner. The next is around the net double bogey, which I will talk a little bit more about later in a slide, but it does replace the equitable stroke control from the old system, and now it will be called a net double bogey. And the last principle being acceptable scores for handicapping purposes. So this looks at, you know, the scores when you are playing. I know there was a lot of controversy over the years about playing alone, but within the World Handicap System, we were the only ones to allow scoring when you were playing alone. So certainly we had to make some concessions going forward in the new system. You can change the slide, Luke, thank you. One of the most intriguing parts of the new handicap system is the PCC, which is the playing conditions calculation, which is done on a daily basis with all of the scores that are inputted from your course. And it can go up or down with respect to your differential if the course plays a little harder or plays a little easier. So certainly a lot of people go right to weather. So when it's pouring rain, you should run out and play golf with 9 of your friends, because you do need a number of, at least 8 scores in the system to trigger the PCC. But certainly it will it's an interesting, all happens in behind the scenes. So certainly not anything you have to worry about uh, in the calculation world. The new calculation is also a little bit of a change, as it is based on your actual ability instead of your potential ability that it used to be. Uh, it used to be your low 10 scores out of your 20 in your scoring record. And then we multiplied that number by 0.96, which was a bonus of excellence, so that you should always strive to be a better golfer than you are on a daily basis. But the new system throws that out. It does go to the best 8 scores in your scoring record, but the bonus for excellence has disappeared. So you probably will see your handicap index drop if you have not already seen it. I know mine did. So just in the calculation of the 8 versus the 10. And certainly in the new system, it does have a very good connection with the course and slope rating. That's always been here in Canada, so we don't really have any real change that is obvious to us. But certainly across the world, everyone has gone to the USGA course rating and slope rating system. And so had I been a little smarter a couple of years ago, I would have volunteered myself to travel the world course rating. But, oh well, maybe next time when they have to be re-rated. You can switch it now, Luke. So a couple of things that we won't notice here in Canada is certainly the daily revision. So when you put a score in, it will recalculate your index, and you will notice the change if it does go up or down right away. For those of you who have played in the US, that was one of the last differences in our two systems, in that they still had the 2-week calculation for their handicaps. So this is something you won't notice in the new system. The second one is around the 9-hole scores, which we have included in our system for a number of years. So those will remain the same. They will be 2 9 holes will be added together in your scoring record if it becomes low enough to be one of your low 18-hole scores. And certainly around the new system, I would say that in North America, we are the only ones who are obsessed with stroke play. Most of the world play match and Stableford. So the new system had to certainly be adaptable to creating a system that was available for stroke scores as well as Stableford points, and certainly match play. So all of this was encompassed into the new world handicap system. So you can change the slide, Luke. So one of the things I did, there were a couple of things I wanted to talk about a little bit more specific. One being the course handicap calculation. So in the old system, the course handicap was calculated by taking your handicap index and multiplying that by the slope rating divided by 113. Again, all done in the background. You didn't have to really do this. But in the new system, they've also added in a course rating minus par. So your new handicap is going to be reflective of the par of the course that you're playing and not necessarily the course rating, which we always had a lot of difficulty in explaining to a lot of people around their target score. You have to base your handicap on the course rating, not necessarily what par is. So thank you, Luke. So this is a typical course handicap chart that you may have seen in the old system for a player with a 15 handicap index. So depending on which tee they would play, whether it be the gold where they were 15. There was not a lot of change in their course handicap, even considering the fact that they were playing off the black tees. They were playing to an 18 handicap. But in the new system, and you can click the next slide, this is what you will see. So now from the gold, we're going to take into consideration the calculation of the course rating minus the par. And now from those gold tees, this 15 handicap is actually going to play to a 10. And from the black tees, they are going to play to a 20. So, you know, on the everyday players, understanding what their course handicap will mean a lot more in comparison to par. And I can give you an example because another example, because I had a question last night. My handicap is a 6 at Riverside from the red tees, and the course rating is 71. And so my target score when I go to play every day is based on the fact that I want to shoot 78, which is what my handicap should allow me to do. Now, if I look at my new course handicap, it is 3, which sounds really impressive, except for the fact that the par at Riverside is 75 for women. And so I still have the same target score of 78. So it might take a little getting used to seeing a different handicap or course handicap when you see your table come up on the score center, but certainly don't be alarmed. It is correct in what it is saying. So you can change the slide now, Luke. The other one I wanted to kind of point out is the net double bogey. There's been certainly a lot of conversation about, they should have named it something else, but certainly it should be very simple. It is par plus 2 strokes plus any strokes you receive on that hole for your maximum score when you're entering your score. So, you know, yes, when that 10 sneaks out or that 12 sneaks out, and you know that when I do my handicap or when I enter my score for handicapping purposes, I am going to enter a net double bogey for that hole. There's lots of information out there. There's some great little videos on the Golf Canada website. I think Luke was going to get them linked up to ours that you can go and watch surrounding those 2 items specifically. So you can change the slide, Luke. So, and just as a reminder around handicapping and COVID-19, so certainly with the modifications of the hole, and certainly we have seen the pool noodles out in full force, and the not requiring to the holing out as per se, but certainly we did relax, I guess, the rules of handicapping, that those scores are available and are acceptable for handicapping purposes. And really for, you know, certainly for the green portion, when you're on the green, you're going to use your most likely score based on how far away from the hole you were. With respect to the rakes, I know most people are playing with the rule that you can use a foot rake, smooth out the spot. However, you are still playing from the bunker. So as long as you're not taking any free lifts and removing yourselves from the bunker, you can put those hole scores in as well for handicapping purposes. And I would refer to the Golf Canada website. There is a full document on handicapping and the rules of golf in French and in English. So yes, you can go on to the next one, thank you. So just as a reminder about score posting, so if you do have the updated app, it works great for hole by hole entry. I will attest that it does not take very long to put your scores in, and will look after your net double bogeys automatically instead of doing the math yourself. Certainly with a lot of kiosks probably shut down because of their use with multiple people. You can certainly go to the Golf Canada website as well, but I would push either to get your scores into the scoring record. You can go to the next. So, you know, I had all these great plans to do all these handicapping seminars in the spring. And I would give kudos to the National Committee and Sean Hall at Golf Canada. They have put together an update that compares the two systems. So most of it will just explain what was in the old system and what it looks like now. It is a YouTube video that you can go and look and watch. It is in English and in French, so it's certainly available. And you can go to the Golf New Brunswick /handicapping section and find it there. It's about 25 minutes, but it certainly goes through everything you need to know about the new World Handicapping System. And you can move it on to the next slide. So certainly as our requirement under the World Handicap System has not gone away that each member club has to have one member at least certified in handicapping. So certainly that was my plan in the spring. I had 3 scheduled that certainly, as Tyson alluded to, were postponed, I guess. So we will have an online virtual seminar that you can take. And also, you know, Zoom has been a great thing. I wish I had bought shares in it, or perhaps I still can. But I have scheduled one handicap certification online seminar for June the 7th. It'll be between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. And so we will get the ball rolling on getting everyone certified. And I believe Luke was sent out the registration request, and you can reply directly to him. And just before I close, on the course rating side, certainly the course ratings, even though we're back to golf, we have to some extent suspended course ratings. I have gone through my schedule for this year and next year to kind of see if there's anything out there that needs to get done immediately. I have been in contact with some clubs, Fredericton, for example, who of course went under their reconstruction last year and are anxiously awaiting getting out to play their new greens. So I have been in contact with them about perhaps a visit to them. But we will certainly, as we progress through the summer, see if we will be able to get back to the golf courses to complete our course ratings for this year. I can attest to how busy golf courses are, because Riverside, I have never seen it. We have a starter that works until 7 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon, which last year you could have shot a cannon through our golf course at that time. So I think there, as everyone else has said, there's a lot of positives to golf, getting back to golf, and surviving through COVID-19 with golf. And I think people are taking advantage of it. So are there any questions? I do see.
Seems to be some up there. Luke, do you have the questions?
I do, yes. So one question just in the chat here from Gary Melanson, question for Allison. When entering a score, how complicated is it going to be now? Is it still the same process as before for golfers?
Well, I apologize for not starting with that, but we here in Canada will not notice any difference at all. So you go through the score center, enter your score. As I said, whether you do it hole by hole or your gross score will not change. And all of these calculations are done automatically by the system in behind. So there's no need to worry about PCC. There's no need to worry about your caps, your low handicap index, all kind of new terminology that will be coming out. But no, you wouldn't notice anything different, Gary.
Well, that's good to know, because quite honestly, it sounded awfully complicated for us. So anyway, that's good.
I apologize. I should have started with that. We in Canada will not notice any real difference other than what number might spit out on top of the screen.
You know, the old Scottish pro used to go out in the morning, look at the wind, look at the weather, and say par today is 78 or whatever, you know. Yeah, so
yes.
it's a bit of a play off of that.
Well, true. And that's exactly really where it is coming from. That, you know, those of us that, or well, I would not include myself in those poor
Now,
weather
Jason
golfers.
goes out in that fancy coat and says what the par is for the day.
Thank you. Luke, more questions?
Yeah, just more of a comment, really. This presentation, as well as the presentations that Allison mentioned during our PowerPoint here today, will be made available on Thursday in our most recent club communication. So we'll have all the links regards to handicap certification seminars online and video presentations that you can use, as well as some infographics that Golf Canada has produced about COVID-19 scoring protocols. So with, you know, finishing out with the flag in and whatnot. So those will all be made available in our update on Thursday, and our invitation for the June 7th handicap virtual seminar will be going out tomorrow to clubs.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Allison?
Well, there is a question there from Tim from Miramichi about the auto double. As long as you're...
Not a question, that's just what we call it.
Well, there's a little more to it, because you do have to calculate in the handicap strokes that you do receive on that hole. So it can be an auto double, but that would be for scratch golfers.
Okay. Any other questions in there? No?
That's it for questions, unless anyone would like to unmute themselves and ask.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Allison.